The A320, the Airbus prodigy, was to have a destiny that none of its creators could ever have imagined. It is the result of an exciting and passionate challenge, quite unique in the history of commercial aviation, and one which will symbolize for years to come the philosophy of an aircraft constructor and its idea of what an aircraft is all about, an aircraft family. The A320, a saga that can be told in the past, the present, and also the future. It is 1984 and Airbus is celebrating its 15th anniversary. Having had a first taste of success with the A300 and A310, a new challenge must now be met. Firstly, a commercial challenge, by moving into the short and medium-haul market so outrageously dominated by the Americans, but also an industrial challenge that will allow Airbus to radically change its way of designing and developing a new aircraft. The A320, with a capacity of 130 to 160 seats, would once again prove that Airbus, ahead of the competition, was able to read the way the short and medium-haul aircraft market was going at the turn of the 1980s, when two aircraft dominated the market, the Douglas MD-80 and the Boeing 737.
Quand on est en concurrence avec des gens qui ont la réputation et la qualité de travail de Boeing ou de Douglas, ce n'est pas en faisant comme eux qu'on peut vendre un avion. Il faut faire mieux qu'eux et nettement mieux qu'eux.
Doing better than competition meant creating an aircraft that was able to offer airlines new and original possibilities. You could say revolutionary possibilities. A challenge Airbus would take up by trying to meet, first and foremost, the economic concerns of the airlines. For starters, the A320 would have a wider and longer cabin than its competitors, meaning more room and comfort for passengers, more space and ergonomics for freight. The aircraft would be developed with not one but two different makes of engine, essential for airlines to choose the engines that fit in best with the other aircraft in their fleet.
Puis on a fait le fly-by-wire et j'ai proposé une architecture de commande de vol électrique après de nombreuses discussions avec des petites mains de l'aérospatiale qui me disent on sait le faire, c'est ça qu'il faut faire. Bon, c'est très bien, c'est parfait. Vous le mettrez au point, il volera à l'heure, vous le certifierez à l'heure, promis, juré, en avant, on y va. Et la 320 a été lancée sur ces bases-là.
The A320 would indeed be the worthy successor to its precursors, inheriting innovations that would allow the creation of a totally new aircraft, composite materials for the structure, a fully digital cockpit with electric flight controls and the famous fly-by-wire, making way for the two-man flight deck. Yet another argument to get the airline's mouths watering. Yes, our prodigy was certainly the worthy heir to its predecessors. In the four corners of Europe, the A320 was starting to take shape. When it was finally put together 3 years after the program was launched, it was at last officially presented. The perfect prodigy was to be the first Airbus to benefit from an exceptional unveiling ceremony. The first public appearance was made alongside a royal couple, no less. This auspicious occasion foresaw an exceptional future for the aircraft, as if people had an idea of just how much a success it would be for Airbus. On the 22nd of February 1987, it was much more than an aircraft that was about to take off to meet its destiny. A week after the presentation that had attracted everyone's attention, the A320 took off from Blagnac Airport runway. The grey sky was in stark contrast with the enthusiasm this maiden flight aroused among the flight test crews.
Le vol s'est très bien passé et je dois dire que notre première pensée va essentiellement aux gens qui pendant de longues années se sont crevés la peau pour arriver à faire un avion aussi réussi.
Even as the maiden flight was coming to an end, A320 was already a reality for many airlines who were completely won over by the aircraft, which was already promising to be one of Airbus's great sales performances. There were nearly 400 aircraft on order for about 15 airlines all over the world, including Northern Airlines, one of the United States' most emblematic carriers. Never before in the history of aviation had a European plane met with such enthusiasm before its maiden flight. The orders kept on growing throughout the certification period that ended in February 1988. During this period, the aircraft benefited from telemetry for the first time. This innovation considerably reduced development and certification times, and above all, put the A320 through tests that would prove it was one of the safest and best performing aircraft.
En 12 mois, nous avons fait plus de 1500 heures de vol d'essai à une cadence de l'ordre de 60 heures par mois et par avion. Dans tous les cas, 320 n'a pas péché par un manque de fiabilité pendant la phase la plus critique qui était sa phase de développement.
For our prodigy, things started moving very quickly. 1 month after certification, at last it was time to deliver the first A320 to Air France. This was the chance for Airbus to further strengthen the bonds with the major world airlines and to become much more than just a simple partner.
La fidélité jamais démentie d'Air France au matériel Airbus a été l'un des atouts majeurs du développement du consortium Airbus Industrie et du renouveau de la construction aéronautique civile européenne.
L'Airbus A320 constituera pour la compagnie un outil essentiel de cette stratégie. Il est bien adapté aux besoins des liaisons de moyens courriers à trafic intense qu'il permet de desservir à fréquence élevée avec un coefficient d'occupation satisfaisant.
As the orders and deliveries picked up speed, the A320 started to fill the skies, winning over more and more airlines. The airline companies soon realized that with the A320, Airbus was inventing a concept that was perfectly adapted to their needs. Aircraft designed along the same model, a family of aircraft, the A320 family.
Il y a eu la 321, la 319, etc., avec parfois de belles empoignades. C'est très difficile de raccourcir un avion. Très difficile. L'allonger, c'est toujours peu que peu facile.
With the official launch of the A321 program in November 1989, Airbus was perfectly in line with what the airlines were looking for, a better way to manage their fleets and flight crews. For an airline, an aircraft family means greater responsiveness to fluctuations in traffic, hence reduced operating costs. With the A319 and A318 that came to complete the family, Airbus had in fact invented the elastic aircraft and offered airlines capacities from the 100-seat A318 up to 200 seats for the A321. This concept was tailor-made for the short and medium-range market that started to grow rapidly from the 1990s onwards. Thanks to the success of the A320 family, Airbus also took on a new market with panache, that of the corporate jet.
Rien actuellement ne permet de regretter ce qu'on a fait sur le 320. Rien. Ni au point de vue sécurité, ni au point de vue prix de revient, ni au point de vue fabrication. Simplement, ce qu'on a fait sur le 320 est quelque chose qui était très difficile, qui représentait, disons, un risque calculé, mais tout de même un risque. Mais on avait le choix entre faire ça ou, au fond, ne pas réussir l'Airbus.
With the expansion of air traffic and the emergence of low-cost airlines, the A320 family became so successful that Airbus had to rethink the production process. The final assembly line at Hamburg was the first to be reorganized. The results were immediate. More coherent and efficient working methods meant that delivery rates were far higher. When Airbus decided to set up in China to ensure the many deliveries Middle Eastern and Asian airlines were waiting for, more and more companies were turning to the A320 family. It was of course the new concept of the Hamburg final assembly line that was used again. The final assembly line in Shenzhen is also a great opportunity for Airbus to export its industrial know-how and sense of cooperation to the other side of the world. This presence was crystallized in May 2009, when the first A320 made in China took off, followed by the first delivery a month later. 100 in 1990, 500 in 1995, over 1,000 in 1999, 4,000 today. And tomorrow, the A320 family story goes on with even more innovations. Airbus continues to believe and invest in the program, nearly 100 million euros a year, so that the A320 family can carry on giving a level of comfort, safety and performance that is still unmatched. A brand new passenger cabin, new navigation systems, steep approaches allowing airports with environmental constraints to be served. At the Dubai Air Show at the close of 2009, John Lee, Airbus sales director, illustrated these forward-looking features with the forthcoming arrival of new winglets called sharklets, designed to reduce fuel consumption by 3.5%, with Air New Zealand as the first customer. Early 2010, Tom Enders, Airbus CEO, announced possible new engines for the A320 family. All these innovations are environmentally friendly and allow airlines, as ever, to keep on reducing operating costs. If the A320 family is such an unquestionable success and allows Airbus to continue to land a considerable number of orders, it's mainly down to the enthusiasm of the airlines and the passengers themselves.
Passengers have commented to us on that and complimented that they would rather fly on the A320 than some other narrow-body aircraft because of the extra comfort they get out of flying the A320.
We switched to Airbus A320 family. One of the reasons is a nice and wide and comfortable cabin. The other one is a higher cargo volume compared to the other aircraft.
The benefit of having a larger number of aircraft between 19 320 321 is the commonality between pilots and mainly for spare parts.
I like the concept, all avionic concept. It's very much different from a traditional aircraft, but you get used to it very, very quickly and changes your way to fly.